Hello, myself Sunil R Nair, and here basically we are talking about the union part. Basically, in this union, basically we are going to discuss one topic that is basically the power supply and the nuclear power company supply. One person told that basically, do you know how basically the power supply chain is working? Then he told that basically normally uh, the nuclear power company basically do the process and according to that the power supply is working. Then he told that basically there might be some sequence and might be one union, na, basically. Otherwise, basically, it would not work basically directly, right? Then he told that basically there might be some sequence basically. For example, in Vadodara city, around 150 power company gives the supply, right? Then he told that yeah, basically. So this basically is one union basically. Then he told that yeah, basically. So that day, this 150 power supply is going to supply the supply to Vadodara city or wherever city, whatever city basically. So this basically is union for that day basically. Then he told that exactly basically. That means basically that city basically is going to create some energy on that day. That means that city, because nowadays basically people says that not people basically the nuclear power company says that we are basically generating the human needs from the cities. We are basically generating the human needs from the cities. Then he told that, yeah, basically it is correct. Somebody is basically generating the human, some nuclear power companies are generating the human needs from the cities, from the city energy. So the city energy basically they are generating the human needs. So that means basically without basically some data basically processing, basically it's not possible, right? One building basically standing. So like that, basically automatically the building is not going to process basically that it's the from the energy basically set of energy from set of trees basically set of buildings set of bungalows. The energy is not going to process like that, right? The human needs, for example, one city is going to generate oil, petrol, or basically vegetable. So basically, oil, petrol, and vegetables that the city is basically producing, that is automatically not happening. Some data basically is getting passed of the processing data. According to that, basically processing data, the things basically are working basically. Then he told that exactly it's like that basically. The things are basically working according to that only. Basically. So the things basically are working according to that only. So that was the thing basically. So like this, he told that the things basically are working according to that. That is basically 100% correct. That is basically 100% correct. So you want to say that for example, the city is basically processing vegetable from the each and every area. Basically, each and every human body basically they are doing the process. The power company basically knows that this many process basically has completed of the vegetable, or is it that basically from one day basically the process basically will get completed of the one city? Is it like that basically? So because it's very difficult to keep the track basically. So each day basically to process basically that would be basically the process time of the vegetable creation. So per day basically the group might be doing the production of the certain level of vegetables, or basically they might be keeping the track of the each and every process basically they are doing. For example, in particular city basically they have completed the vegetable creation process. So half of the process is done, half of the process is pending. So like this basically they are going to do the process, and like that this many processes completed, and after certain time basically this many processes going to be completed. So like this basically going to be completed, that data basically they need. So that basically how many data is required, that basically exactly data basically is required, na? So that basically is the union chain basically. So this union chain basically is basically not controlled by the normal basically the personal one single person basically can't control that. If you set up manual process also basically it's not possible basically. So the automatic system basically is 100% generated for that basically. That this is the system basically. On the base of this system basically, the process is going to be happen. So this is the system basically. On the base of the certain level of system basically, the process is going to happen, and this is the process basically. And according to the process, the system is going to happen. So processes that power supply company basically who is passing the data, and they are getting the data from the set of nuclear power company, and that nuclear power companies are basically passing the data to the power company, and the power companies are basically keeping track of each and every data, that how many data basically they have passed to the city. So this basically required system only. This basically requires, so assume that one system basically they have, they told that basically this vegetable creation city is the thing basically, we have passed up to this level data. So how many data basically is required basically, that system basically automatically gives basically. So that basically you can say as a batch process in the set of financial institute, in the banks basically, in the commercial institute basically, and the commercial software companies basically, they do the batch process, that this many data has processed, this many data has been required. So that basically is the sequence, right? That basically you can say the union basically of the sequence. That basically is the union basically you can say of the sequence, where basically the data is getting processed completely. Same way basically the power supply company basically do the power supply sequence, and they supplies the power supply data, and they give the power supply data to the cities, and which basically is doing the production of vegetables. So like this, basically the vegetable creation process basically gets successfully completed on the base of certain unity basically. That is basically the union basically. Without union basically, how you can do the creation basically? Like this, basically the union creation happens basically. And this is basically positive thing basically. And negative side is also basically that basically is totally different. That is going to wash out the vegetables basically. So that are basically the negative side. So creation basically happens, and the destruction also basically happens. So each and every side basically there are things basically. Each and every side basically the negative and positive impact are basically there basically. So here basically we were talking about the union basically, and the union basically is of the union is of the vegetable creation. The vegetable creation is the union basically. Vegetable creation is the requirement, right? Vegetable is creation is the requirement, and this is the union basically you can say. On the base of certain level of union data basically, you can able to create the vegetables. So like this basically, if you want to break the chain basically, then basically that also is possible. That also basically is possible to break the chain of the vegetable creation. So like this basically each and everything basically are like this basically, fruits are there, like this basically the things are basically getting great, like this each and every human needs basically are getting great, like this each and every things basically are there, and which gets creates, and on the base of certain level of unions basically, that gets creates. So like this human need creation basically is done by nowadays the city, nowadays from city side, and from city basically the human needs basically are created, and that human need basically creation basically required set of unit union basically. That is basically the union data, which basically only power company and the nuclear power company can give. Nuclear company basically have the data basically of each and every human needs, which is supposed to create, and which is created by set of certain cities basically. So nuclear power company has the data of each and every city basically, the city basically who, which city basically produce what, which city produce which type of human needs. That data basically the nuclear company have, and according to that basically the data basically are passed, and power company basically gets the data automatically of the source basically. So what is the source of the data, where basically this power supply has to pass. So like this basically each and every things basically are chained, and the data basically are passed in the base of the union. So this is also one of the part of the union basically. Next part basically we are going to see a little bit more about the union only.